It's a shame that neon lights are being phased out in many applications by LED lights because neon is just so cool. If you've ever taken a trip to Hong Kong or parts of Japan, you'll be amazed by their diffused glow, but there are reasons why they're being replaced. In this video, we'll talk about how neon lights work, how they're made, and why LED might ultimately be the more practical choice. The first thing to know about neon is that it's a noble gas. By noble, we don't mean that neon opens the door to let women in first or donates tons of its money to charity. Noble gases are a unique group of elements in the periodic table, making up the 18th group of the table. They're all odorless and tasteless, but the main thing that makes them so useful is that they're chemically inert. When we're talking about lights, for instance, it's good to be able to use a gas that doesn't have a risk of catching fire and isn't a danger to people if it leaks. Neon, along with helium and xenon, is used in all kinds of everyday applications. Neon started to be used in lighting applications when it was discovered that the gas starts to glow an orangish red when placed in an electric field. All of the noble gases, except for radon and maybe oganesson, do this, but noble gases glow at a relatively lower voltage than other gases. Making a neon light then requires a way to harness this glow. So how do you build a neon light? Neon lights consist of a small tube of neon gas at low pressure. At both ends of the tube, there are electrodes that carry alternating current, or AC. When a voltage around 15 kilovolts is applied to the electrodes, there's enough electrical energy in the tube to strip electrons from the neon atoms inside the tube. This is a similar process to electrolysis, which is basically used everywhere in modern electronics. As a result of this process, the tube now consists of a plasma containing negative charged electrons and positively charged neon ions. That was fun to say. Because opposites attract, the electrons and ions will rush to their oppositely charged electrodes and complete the circuit. You've got tiny particles flying around at very high speed in this tube, so naturally they're gonna bump into each other. When an object bumps into another object, it transfers its kinetic energy into that object. Electrons absorb this energy and move into a higher level of excitation, which is a whole can of worms we won't open today. The important thing to know is that when electrons burn off this energy by moving around, they return to their earlier level of excitation, and the energy is released in the form of light. That's how you get the orangish red glow we mentioned earlier. Let there be light. Moving on, if neon's natural glow is orangish red, where do the other colors come from? There are two ways in which neon lights can produce different colors, and both involve helping the neon out. We mentioned earlier that all noble gases have a glow when they're in an electric field, but they require higher voltages to get that glow. That's true when we're dealing with the gases in their purest form, but what many manufacturers of neon lights do is they use a mixture of different noble gases. You can regulate the voltage at the electrodes to change the colors that are produced in the tube, and you pretty much have the whole spectrum at your disposal. Another way to get different colors is by coating the glass with phosphor or other chemicals. These coatings will glow in different colors when energized. You have a lot of versatility with these coatings, and the fact is that these coatings have allowed the world to replace neon as a gas for lights. A lot more common these days is the use of mercury argon as the gas. That's how today's tube lights or fluorescent lamps work. But why have we started moving on from neon? For starters, they're really expensive to operate. Neon may be the least energy hungry of the noble gases, but 15 kilovolts is still 15 kilovolts. That's on the level of power tools and industrial equipment that are only used for short bursts of time. Consuming this much electricity all the time is really going to hit the wallet of the business that operates a neon light hard, in addition to the current trend of reducing electricity consumption. They're also expensive to produce in the first place. There aren't many neon light manufacturers left, and the process of creating them is a dying art. It involves a craftsman taking a look at your design and physically melting and molding glass tubes into the form you've asked for. If that sounds like the scenes in movies where the hero forges the weapon that finally slays the villain, that's basically what neon light manufacturing is, except you can't really kill anyone with neon light. There are other practical concerns too. Once you've had a neon sign manufactured, you're kinda stuck with it. That doesn't sound like a big deal at first, since you just have to make sure you're not using a neon sign to display information that might change. But there's no way to know for a fact that some piece of information won't change. For example, if you're a business owner and you've had a neon sign made for the name of your business, who's to say that your business will never fail? In that case, you'd be left with the heartbreak of your failed business and a neon sign that no one will want. Also, Also, we talked about fluorescent light tubes before, but the thing that has truly replaced neon is the LED. LEDs, or light-emitting diodes, are a form of light bulb that is exceedingly simple in construction. They also consume a very low amount of energy, and they can be made to be very small. That's made LED technology very versatile, and it isn't just neon that's been pushed aside by these newfangled lights. Where a neon light could consume tens of thousands of volts, a gigantic LED TV or screen basically sips electricity. They're also very cheap to manufacture, so they have a lower maintenance cost. And since it's a screen, you can update information on it and display anything that your designer can come up with. The only downside is that LEDs can only show images in 2D. The versatility of an LED display makes it less of a depreciating asset too. Remember the scenario we came up with before in which your business failed? One thing that makes it easy to invest in equipment is the knowledge that someone will buy it if you, for whatever reason, no longer need it. No one will buy a neon sign that you had crafted for yourself, but a giant LED screen? It'll be out of your hair in no time. Still, at the end of the day, neon is neon. There's nothing quite as evocative as a handcrafted, custom-built neon sign. Each one was capable of standing out back in the heyday of neon, but how? The glow of this gas is so special that you'd be able to spot it from a mile away. Sure, it's expensive to buy and expensive to run, but there's nothing that can send a message quite like it. The versatility of LEDs has made them a little uninteresting. You look up from your phone, which has an OLED screen, to see some business ads on a different LED screen. Your TV at home is also an LED screen. They're gorgeous screens, no doubt. Some forms of LEDs have the most beautiful color reproduction and tone you'll ever see, borderline prettier than real life. In a world full of screens, a neon sign is gonna stand out. That's basically what we see in a lot of sci-fi movies these days, isn't it? The hero can often escape the hustle and bustle of the city with towering screens in a dinky bar with a flickering neon sign outside. That's a vibe that lots of people can relate to, and it's why a handful of neon artisans are still in business. It's sad to think that one day neon will completely disappear from our streets. Even locations that are famous for their neon signs, like Hong Kong, will end up losing them in favor of LEDs or whatever tech is in vogue at the time. And all we'll have of neon is the raft of cyberpunk literature that was inspired by it. The march of technology is interesting, and it leads to some mind-blowing places, but we think that the story of neon shows that it's also important to slow down a bit and enjoy things as they are in the moment. Someday, you'll be able to quote a version of the Tears in the Rain speech from Blade Runner to your grandkids. They won't get it, but it'll feel good to say it all the same. We're gonna hit the brakes on this video before we fall into an existential crisis over neon lights. What do you think of neon lights? Are there any contexts in which you'd recommend neon over an alternative? Get that comment section buzzing, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you in the next one.